The arrival. A quiet night turned into chaos when a massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit, blocking out the stars. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen, sleek, metallic, and glowing with an eerie blue light. Panic spread across the world as news networks interrupted their broadcasts to show live footage of the mysterious vessel. People stared at their screens in fear, wondering what it meant. Was this an invasion? A peaceful visit? Or something worse? In the White House Situation Room, leaders from around the world joined an emergency video conference. Tensions were high. "We need to figure out their intentions," President Carter said, pacing the room. "Are we under attack? Or are they here for diplomacy?" As if responding to his question, the alien ship suddenly broadcast a message in dozens of languages, including English. The voice was cold and mechanical. "Humans, we come bearing a gift of goodwill. Do not fear us. We bring you something of no value to us, but perhaps of great value to you. Prepare to receive our offering." The message repeated several times before fading into silence. The world held its breath. 2 hours later, the glowing pod descended from the ship, slowly landing on the White House lawn. Military personnel surrounded it, weapons drawn, but the pod didn't seem hostile. It opened with a soft hiss, revealing what appeared to be a young alien girl. She looked no older than 16 by human standards. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, and her large black eyes shimmered with fear. Chains bound her wrists and ankles, and she trembled as she stepped out of the pod. The voice from the ship returned, this time mocking. "This is our gift to you, a worthless slave. Do what you will with her. She means nothing to us." The broadcast ended abruptly, and the alien ship began to move farther away, though it remained in Earth's orbit. The girl collapsed to her knees, her frail body shaking uncontrollably. Soldiers approached cautiously, their weapons aimed at her. One of them radioed in, "The gift has been received. She's alive but appears harmless. Orders." President Carter, watching from inside the White House, hesitated. "Bring her in, but stay on high alert. This could be a trick." The alien girl, who would later reveal her name as Sfila, was taken to a secure medical facility. Scientists and military experts gathered to examine her, while the public demanded answers. Protests erupted around the world. Some people called for her release, while others argued she was a danger to humanity. In the facility, Sela sat silently in a corner of her room, her large eyes darting nervously at the humans around her. She flinched every time someone moved too quickly or raised their voice. It was clear she was terrified. But why? Was she afraid of the humans, or of something else? Dr. Elena Morales, a linguist and psychologist, was the first to approach her with kindness. "Zila," she said gently, using the name the girl had scribbled in the dirt when asked who she was. "We're not here to hurt you. Can you understand me?" To everyone's surprise, Sila nodded. Her voice was soft and shaky as she replied in broken English, "I understand. Please, no harm." Dr. Morales smiled, though her heart ached for the girl. "We won't hurt you. But we need to know why you're here. Why did they send you to us?" Sila's eyes filled with tears. "They no want me. I nothing to them. I am joke." Her words sent chills through the room. A joke? What kind of beings would sacrifice one of their own for amusement? And why send her to humans? Meanwhile, up in orbit, the alien ship began broadcasting again, this time to their own people. The humans intercepted the signal and managed to translate it. The aliens were laughing at humanity, mocking them for accepting what they called worthless trash. They bet among themselves on how long humans would keep Zila alive before discarding her like they had. President Carter clenched his fists as he watched the translation scroll across the screen. "They're treating this like some sick game," he said through gritted teeth. "But why? What's their endgame?" Dr. Morales, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "Maybe Xyla isn't worthless at all. Maybe they're trying to make us underestimate her, or ourselves. The president looked at her, a flicker of hope in his eyes. Then we'll find out the truth, and we'll show them what humans are made of. Back in her room, Scylla sat alone, staring at the stars through the window. She didn't know what would happen to her, but she had seen enough of her own kind to understand their cruelty. They didn't care about humans or her life. To them, this was just another form of entertainment. But to Scylla, this was a chance, her only chance, to prove she was more than what they had made her believe. And maybe, just maybe, the humans would surprise her too. The world watched with bated breath as the first chapter of this strange encounter unfolded, unaware of the shocking events that were yet to come. The girl speaks. Scylla sat in a corner of the sterile room, her knees pulled to her chest. The metallic hum of machines around her was foreign yet strangely comforting. She had never seen technology like this. Not rough and utilitarian like the machines of her own people, but precise, elegant, and human. Two soldiers stood outside her glass enclosure, their expressions unreadable behind reflective visors. Inside, Dr. Elena Morales and a small team of linguists and psychologists observed her carefully. Scylla could feel their eyes on her, studying her every move as though she were some strange animal. She didn't blame them. After all, wasn't she? Elena stepped forward cautiously, her voice calm and warm. Scylla, she began, her pronunciation slightly off, but close enough. Do you understand me? Scylla raised her head, her large black eyes glimmering with tears. She had been taught to understand human languages during her years of servitude. Her masters had found it amusing to have their slaves mimic the speech of lesser species. But this was the first time anyone had spoken to her with kindness. I understand, she said, her voice trembling. Her words were hesitant, each syllable heavy with uncertainty. Why? You keep me. The room fell silent. The question was simple, but its weight was profound. Why were the humans keeping her? Was it curiosity, compassion, or something else entirely? Elena took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. We want to help you, she said, but we need to understand who you are and why your people sent you here. Scylla's shoulders slumped, and she looked down at her chained wrists. Her voice, when she spoke again, was barely a whisper. They send me because I am nothing. I am joke to them, a gift for you to destroy. They laugh at you, at me. The humans exchanged uneasy glances. The alien's message had been clear enough, but hearing it from Scylla herself made it all the more disturbing. What kind of beings would treat their own kind and humanity with such cruelty? Elena knelt in front of the glass, bringing herself to Scylla's eye level. You're not nothing, she said firmly. Not to us. Tell me about your people. Why do they treat you this way? Scylla hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her thin tunic. She had been punished for speaking out of turn before, but something about Elena's voice made her feel safe. My people are strong, she began, her words slow and deliberate. They think weakness is shame. They use us, slaves, for work, for pain, for fun. I am weak, so they throw me away. Elena's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice steady. What about humans? What do they think of us? Scylla's gaze flickered toward the ceiling, as though she could see the alien ship still hovering above. They think you are less, small, funny. They watch you, like game. Sending me here was joke. They think you will kill me, or use me, like them. Outside the room, General Thompson watched through the observation window, his arms crossed. This is insane, he muttered. We're playing right into their hands by keeping her here. For all we know, she's a spy. Dr. Liam Patel, a biologist standing beside him, frowned. A spy. Look at her. She's terrified. If they wanted to infiltrate us, they'd send someone stronger. Thompson's eyes narrowed. Or someone who looks harmless. Don't forget, this could all be part of their plan. Inside, Alina ignored the murmurs from the observation room and focused on Xyla. "Do you know why they hate us?" she asked gently. Scylla's eyes locked onto hers, and for the first time, there was a spark of defiance in her voice. "Because you are different. You fight. You care. My people fear what they don't control. Humans cannot be controlled." The words sent a chill through the room. Alina leaned closer. "They're afraid of us." Xyla nodded. "Yes, they will not say it, but they fear what you can do. Together." As the interrogation continued, another development unfolded. A team of cryptographers working on intercepted alien transmissions decoded a fragment of a message. The words were chilling. "Observe the humans' response. Their strength lies in their compassion. We must learn how to break it." When President Carter was briefed, his face darkened. "They're testing us," he said, slamming his hand on the table. "They want to see how far we'll go before we lose our humanity." Back in the facility, Scylla noticed a change in the air. The humans were tense, their voices hushed. She had seen this before, on her homeworld, just before an execution. Panic welled up in her chest. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't kill me." Alina's heart broke at the sight of her trembling figure. "We're not going to hurt you, Scylla," she said firmly. "But we need to work together. Can you help us? Can you show us what they're planning?" Scylla hesitated. If she betrayed her people, she knew what the consequences would be if they captured her again. But then she thought of the humans' kindness, their willingness to listen. It was more than anyone had ever given her. "I will help," she said softly. "But they will come. They will not stop." Alina nodded. "Then we'll be ready." As Scylla began to share everything she knew, alien tactics, technology, and weaknesses, the humans realized they had an unexpected ally. But in the shadows of space, the alien ship loomed, its occupants watching and waiting for humanity to falter. The game had only just begun, uncovering the truth. The night was quiet outside the secure facility, but inside, the air buzzed with tension. Scylla sat at a table in the center of a brightly lit room. Around her were monitors displaying scrolling data, holographic maps, and faces of curious scientists and military officials. She could feel the weight of their stares, but for the first time, she wasn't trembling. Scylla had made a choice. If the humans were going to fight back, she would help them. Dr. Elena Morales sat across from her, a tablet in hand. "Let's start simple," Elena said gently. "Tell us about your people. What do they want with us?" Scylla tilted her head, considering the question. Her large black eyes flickered with unease. "They see you as resource," she said slowly, her words careful. "Not just your planet, your minds, your spirit. It is different from us. You fight, but you do not destroy. You feel, but do not fear feeling. They do not understand." Elena nodded, typing furiously on her tablet. "And that frightens them." Scylla hesitated before answering. "Yes, they fear what they cannot predict. They fear you will grow too strong, too fast." General Thompson, standing near the observation window, snorted. "Too strong. They have ships the size of cities. We barely made it to Mars." He crossed his arms, his expression skeptical. "What are they so afraid of?" Scylla turned her gaze to him, her voice steady. "Not your ships, not your weapons. They fear your unity. You fight for each other. My people do not. We fight for ourselves." As Stella continued, the scientists and military officials pieced together a disturbing picture of her civilization. Her people, the Virakesh, had mastered technology far beyond anything humanity could imagine. They moved between galaxies with ease, harvested entire worlds for resources, and crushed resistance wherever they found it. But their strength came at a cost. Their society was built on oppression and control. Individuality was punished, and compassion was seen as weakness. Elena leaned forward, her voice curious but cautious. "You said they sent you here as a joke, to mock us. But why you? What made them choose you?" Scylla's hands clenched into fists on the table. Her voice wavered, but there was a flicker of anger beneath her fear. "Because I am broken to them. I was born different. I think too much, feel too much. They used me to show you weakness, to laugh at you when you failed." "Failed at what?" Elena asked, her brow furrowed. Scylla's gaze dropped. "At saving me. They think you will destroy me like them." Meanwhile, in the facility's command center, technicians worked tirelessly to decode intercepted transmissions from the alien mothership. The messages were fragmented and encrypted, but what little they had translated was chilling. Observe human emotional thresholds. Identify potential for disunity. Exploit weaknesses in compassion-based decision-making. The president, who had joined the video feed from the White House, frowned deeply. "They're studying us, testing how far we'll go before we turn on each other." General Thompson cut in. "We need to consider the possibility that Scylla is part of this test. She could be feeding us exactly what they want us to hear." Elena's voice came through the speakers, firm and defiant. "With all due respect, General, I've spent hours with her. If this is a performance, it's the most convincing I've ever seen. She's terrified of them. And frankly, so am I." Back in the interrogation room, Scylla explained the alien technology in fragmented detail. She described their ship's cloaking systems, their weapons, and most importantly, their vulnerabilities. "Their power comes from fear," she said. "They control others by making them afraid to fight back. But fear is not strength. It can break." Elena scribbled notes furiously. "And their technology, can we fight it?" Scylla hesitated, her hands trembling slightly. "Your weapons, small to them, but your minds, clever. You see what others do not. I can show you their weak points if you trust me." In the days that followed, Scylla worked closely with the human scientists, providing insights into Virkesh systems. She sketched diagrams of their energy cores, described how their communication networks functioned, and even demonstrated how to disrupt their tracking systems. Every piece of information she shared was verified, and each one proved accurate. But not everyone was convinced of her sincerity. General Thompson remained skeptical, and his doubts began to spread through the ranks. Some feared Scylla was leading them into a trap, while others worried about what the aliens might do if they discovered she was cooperating with humans. Scylla felt the tension every time she entered her room. Soldiers avoided her gaze, scientists whispered behind her back, and even Elena seemed more distant at times. But she didn't waver. For the first time in her life, she had a purpose beyond survival. She wasn't just a slave or a pawn anymore. She was fighting for something bigger. Then, one night, the facility's alarms blared. The alien mothership had made a sudden maneuver, deploying dozens of smaller craft into Earth's atmosphere. Panic spread through the command center as operators tracked the ship's movements. They weren't attacking. Not yet, but they were close enough to make their presence known. "They're testing us," Elena said, her voice grim. "Seeing how we'll react." President Carter's voice crackled through the speakers. "Do we have anything we can use against them? Anything at all?" General Thompson looked at Scylla, his expression hard. "She's the one who knows their tech. What do we do?" All eyes turned to Scylla, who stood silently in the corner. She felt the weight of their stares, the pressure of their expectations. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she forced herself to stand tall. "I can help," she said softly, "but you must trust me." The room was silent for a moment. Then Elena stepped forward and placed a hand on Scylla's shoulder. "We trust you," she said. "Now show us what to do." As Scylla began to outline a plan to disrupt the alien ship's systems, the humans realized they had an unexpected advantage. The aliens had underestimated their unity, their resilience, and their capacity for trust. But the question lingered in everyone's minds. Was it enough? The plan unfolds. The skies above Earth buzzed with tension as alien crafts hovered ominously, their glowing hulls reflecting eerie blue light onto the world below. They weren't attacking, not yet, but their mere presence was a threat. News stations broadcast live footage of the alien vessels, and across the globe, fear spread like wildfire. People barricaded themselves in their homes, wondering if the end was near. In the secure military facility, chaos reigned. Commanders barked orders, analysts studied intercepted transmissions, and soldiers readied their weapons, despite knowing they stood little chance against the alien technology. At the center of it all sat Scylla, her slender frame dwarfed by the large conference table. Her presence was the room's unspoken elephant. To some, she was a lifeline. To others, a potential traitor. General Thompson stood at the head of the table, his eyes narrowing at Scylla. "They're moving closer. What are they waiting for?" he demanded, slamming his fist on the table. "Why don't they just attack?" Scylla flinched but kept her voice steady. "They want you to break, to fear. It is their way. They wait for chaos." Dr. Elena Morales, sitting beside Scylla, shot Thompson a glare. "General, we need to focus. If what Scylla says is true, fear is their weapon. They're testing us, pushing us to make the first mistake." Thompson crossed his arms, unconvinced. "And what's your solution? Sit back and hope they get bored?" "No," Elena said firmly. "We fight back, but smartly. Scylla has given us information about their systems, their weaknesses. If we use it wisely, we can disrupt their plans." Scylla's trembling hands hovered over the holographic display in front of her. She tapped the interface, bringing up a diagram of the alien mothership. "This is their core," she said, pointing to a glowing sphere at the center of the ship. "It powers everything. Their weapons, shields, movement." "How do we hit it?" asked one of the engineers. Scylla hesitated. "You cannot break it. Not with your weapons. But you can blind it. Disrupt their systems." The room grew silent as everyone processed her words. General Thompson leaned forward, his tone skeptical. "Blind it? Disrupt their systems? How?" Scylla swallowed hard. "Their technology depends on signals, frequencies. If you overload with noise, it will confuse them, slow them, make them vulnerable." One of the technicians frowned. "You're talking about jamming their systems. We don't have the power for that. Their tech is light years ahead of ours." Scylla's gaze didn't waver. "You do not need power. You need cleverness. Their systems, too advanced. They think too perfect. But perfect things break when hit the right way." The president joined the conversation via video feed from the White House. His voice was calm but firm. "If we're going to try this, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with. Scylla, can you guarantee this will work?" Scylla's black eyes met his on the screen. "Guarantee? No. But it is your best chance." The president turned to General Thompson. "Prepare the team. We're going to test this theory." Thompson nodded reluctantly. "Yes, sir." As preparations began, a new problem arose. Alien ships started to descend lower into the atmosphere, their movements deliberate and menacing. They hovered over major cities, broadcasting cryptic messages that unsettled the population further. "We know your kind," the alien voice boomed. "You are weak, divided, unworthy of the resources you claim. Prove your worth, or perish." Panic erupted across the globe. In the facility, the message played on repeat, a grim reminder of the stakes. Scylla, watching the broadcast, shook her head. "They want chaos. They want you to fight each other, not them." The humans moved quickly. Using Scylla's knowledge, they retrofitted existing communication satellites with new software capable of emitting disruptive signals. The plan was simple: overload the aliens' frequencies with conflicting signals, forcing their ships to lose coordination. But time was running out. In the control room, Scylla guided the engineers, her voice more confident than it had ever been. Focus on their main ship. If it falls, the others will. Retreat. Elena stood by her side, offering quiet support. You're doing great, Scylla, she said softly. We couldn't do this without you. Scylla's lips pressed into a thin line. I only hope it is enough. Finally, the satellites were ready. The countdown began, and tension filled the room. Scylla watched the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew what would happen if they failed. The Virkesh would see this as proof of human weakness. They wouldn't just conquer Earth, they would obliterate it. Signal ready, one of the technicians announced. Activated, Thompson ordered. The room went silent as the system came online. Satellites across the globe emitted bursts of high-frequency signals, flooding the airwaves with noise. On the monitors, the alien ships reacted immediately. Their movements became erratic, their formations breaking apart. The mothership's glow flickered, its systems clearly struggling. It's working, Elena whispered, her voice filled with awe. But Scylla wasn't celebrating yet. Her eyes remained fixed on the screen. They will adapt. Quickly. You must act. Now. The humans launched their next phase. A coordinated strike on the mothership's core. Using the confusion caused by the signal disruption, they sent a small team of drones armed with explosives directly into the alien vessel. The drones evaded the ship's defenses, slipping through blind spots Scylla had identified. When the first explosion rocked the mothership, cheers erupted in the control room. But Scylla remained tense. It is not over, she said quietly. She was right. Moments later, the aliens retaliated, launching an attack on the satellites, disrupting their systems. One by one, the satellites went offline. The alien ships began to regroup, their movements more aggressive than before. The celebration turned to dread as the realization set in. The humans had only bought themselves a little time. As the mothership stabilized, Scylla's voice cut through the panic. You must keep fighting. They think you will stop. Prove them wrong. Elena placed a hand on her shoulder. We will, Scylla. Together. The first strike had shaken the aliens, but it wasn't enough to win the war. Humanity had shown they could fight back, but the Virkesh weren't done testing their limits, and as Scylla looked at the humans around her, she realized something. Neither were they. The turning point. The atmosphere inside the facility was electric, crackling with equal parts tension and determination. The first strike had proven humanity could fight back, but it wasn't enough. The alien mothership had stabilized, and its smaller crafts had regrouped. The humans had disrupted their systems temporarily, but now the aliens were coming with full force. The room buzzed with activity as every available resource was focused on formulating the next move. Scylla sat at the edge of the strategy table, her black eyes scanning the holographic displays of alien ships circling the planet like vultures. The humans around her were working frantically, but she could sense the growing fear in their voices. She knew this fear well. She had lived her entire life in its grip. But something was different here. The humans weren't giving up. They were pushing forward despite their terror, and that gave her hope. Dr. Elena Morales leaned over the table, reviewing the satellite images. The drones did some damage to the mothership's core, but it wasn't enough to cripple them. She said, her voice steady despite the chaos. We need another strike. Bigger, faster. General Thompson shook his head, his arms crossed. We don't have the firepower for that. The drones were a one-shot advantage. If we send more now, they'll be ready. They're adapting faster than we are, one of the engineers muttered, frustration evident in his tone. Scylla's voice cut through the noise. You must change faster, she said, her tone calm but resolute. Everyone turned to her, their expressions a mix of curiosity and doubt. They think you cannot. But humans surprise them. Thompson frowned. Surprise them how exactly? They've got shields, weapons, and tech that's centuries ahead of us. Scylla stood, her frail figure suddenly commanding attention. They have power. You have heart. That is what they fear. You will fight when there is no hope. You will stand when you should fall. Her words lingered in the air, and for a moment, no one spoke. Then Elena nodded. She's right. They don't understand how we think, how we fight. That's our advantage. We need to strike where they don't expect. And where would that be? Thompson asked, still skeptical. Zila tapped the holographic display, zooming in on the mothership's underside. Here, the ventilation system. It is small, hidden. They think no one would dare. The engineers leaned in, examining the area she highlighted. She's right, one of them said, excitement creeping into his voice. If we can get a payload into this vent, it could destabilize their core systems. But how do we get close enough without being detected? Elena asked. Zila hesitated before speaking. I will go. The room fell silent. General Thompson shook his head immediately. Absolutely not. You're not stepping foot on that ship. It is only way, Sela said firmly. I know their systems, their weaknesses. I can guide the humans. You're not expendable, Elena said, her voice soft but firm. We can't lose you. Sela's gaze didn't waver. I am already lost to them. But here, I can make a difference. Elena looked at the president, whose image loomed on the screen. He sighed heavily, the weight of the decision etched into his face. We don't have time to debate this, he said. If Xela's willing to go, we need to trust her, but she's not going alone. A covert strike team was assembled within hours. It consisted of the best soldiers humanity had to offer, along with Sela, who would guide them through the alien ship systems. The plan was risky, bordering on suicidal. Infiltrate the mothership through its lower ventilation system, plant a series of EMP charges, and escape before the core destabilized. As they suited up, the tension was palpable. One of the soldiers, a burly man named Lieutenant Harris, looked at Sila with a mix of curiosity and respect. You really think this'll work? He asked. Zila nodded. It will work if we work together. Harris smirked. Well then, let's give him hell. The team launched at dawn, using a small stealth craft modified with alien cloaking technology Sila had helped design. As they approached the mothership, the size of the vessel became clear. It was massive, stretching for miles in every direction. Its surface bristled with weapons and sensors, but the cloaking device held, keeping the humans undetected. Inside the craft, Sila's hand shook slightly as she guided the team. She was scared, more scared than she'd ever been. But she pushed the fear aside. These humans were risking their lives because they believed in something greater than themselves. She owed them the same. The infiltration was nerve-wracking. The team entered through a narrow vent, crawling through dimly lit passages while alien patrols roamed nearby. Sila's voice came through their comms, guiding them with precise instructions. Left turn. Now. Stop. Wait. Move. The first EMP charge was planted without incident, then the second. But as they reached the core, alarms blared. They found us, Harris growled, raising his weapon. Sila's voice remained calm. Keep moving. Plant. The charge. The team worked quickly, even as alien soldiers closed in. Sila's guidance proved invaluable, helping them evade capture and complete the mission. As the final charge was set, she spoke softly. It is done. Now, we run. The team raced back to the craft, dodging alien fire. Zila stayed at the rear, ensuring everyone made it aboard. As they launched away from the mothership, the EMP charges detonated in sequence. On the monitors, the humans watched as the alien ship flickered and dimmed, its systems collapsing one by one. Cheers erupted in the control room back on Earth. They had done it. They had struck a critical blow against the invincible enemy. But Sila's expression remained somber. They will return, she said quietly. Stronger, But now, they know. Humans are not weak. Elena smiled at her. And neither are you. The turning point had been reached. Humanity had shown the Virakesh that they were not to be underestimated. But the war was far from over. Zayla knew that the next battle would be even harder. But for the first time in her life, she believed in something stronger than fear, hope. Humanity strikes back. The alien mothership hung silently in the sky, its once brilliant glow dimmed by the humans' audacious strike. On Earth, the victory was celebrated with cautious optimism. For the first time, humanity had forced the invincible Virakesh to falter. Yet, in the secure military facility, the mood was far from celebratory. Everyone knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a much larger fight. Zila stood in the corner of the strategy room, her black eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the alien fleet. Though the mothership had been damaged, it was still operational. The smaller crafts had regrouped, forming a defensive perimeter around their leader. The humans' attack had bought them time, but the aliens weren't retreating. If anything, their movements suggested they were preparing for a counterstrike. "They are angry," Sayla said softly, her voice breaking the tense silence in the room. "They did not think you could hurt them. Now they will. Make you pay." General Thompson crossed his arms, his expression grim. "Let them come. We've shown we can hit back. We'll keep hitting until they leave." Zila turned to him, her gaze piercing. "They will not leave. They will destroy everything first. You must strike again, harder." Dr. Elena Morales, seated nearby, nodded in agreement. "She's right. We can't wait for them to attack. We need to take the fight to them." The room erupted into debate. Military officials argued over tactics, scientists discussed the limits of human technology, and politicians worried about the risk of escalation. Through it all, Scylla stood quietly, listening. Finally, she stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "They are not invincible," she said firmly. "You showed them that. But you must think like them. They see you as weak because you hesitate. You must strike before they can." Alina gestured to the holographic display. "We need a plan, Scylla. Something that can cripple their forces for good." Zila pointed to the projection of the mothership. "Their core is damaged. If you strike again, here," she highlighted a section near the ship's rear, "it will destroy everything. The mothership, their smaller ships, their command." General Thompson raised an eyebrow. "Destroy their entire fleet with one hit. Sounds like a pipe dream." "It is possible," Scylla insisted. "But you must risk everything." The plan was bold and dangerous. Using the remaining stealth drones, the humans would deliver a high-yield explosive directly to the mothership's weakened core. The explosion would cause a chain reaction, disabling the entire fleet. But the risk was enormous. The drones would need to penetrate the ship's defenses, and if even one failed, the mission would be a disaster. The president joined the briefing via video feed, his face drawn with exhaustion. "Do we have any other options?" he asked. Alina shook her head. "No. If we don't do this, they'll regroup and retaliate. This is our only chance to end it." The president looked at Scylla, his expression unreadable. "And you're certain this will work?" Zila met his gaze, her voice steady. "It will work, but you must trust me." After a long pause, the president nodded. "Then let's do it." Preparations began immediately. Engineers worked around the clock to modify the drones, equipping them with the experimental explosives. Pilots trained for the mission, practicing maneuvers that would take them dangerously close to the alien defenses. Meanwhile, Scylla and Elena worked tirelessly to refine the plan. Using every scrap of information Scylla could provide about the Virakesh systems. As the launch approached, tension reached a breaking point. Soldiers and scientists alike knew the stakes. If this mission failed, Earth would be defenseless against the aliens' retaliation. On the night before the mission, Scylla found herself alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Elena joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Are you ready?" Elena asked. Scylla nodded slowly. "I am ready, but I am afraid." Elena smiled softly. "That makes two of us, but we'll get through this together." The mission launched at dawn. 5 stealth drones, piloted remotely by the best operators humanity had, ascended into the sky, their cloaking systems rendering them nearly invisible. In the control room, everyone watched the monitors in tense silence as the drones approached the alien fleet. Scylla stood beside Elena, her hands clasped tightly together. "They will see soon," she warned. "You must move fast." Sure enough, the alien ships detected the drones just as they neared the mothership. Alarms blared as the Virkesh scrambled to intercept the intruders. The control room erupted into chaos as the operators worked furiously to evade the alien defenses. Drone 1 down, one of the technicians called out. Drone 2, holding steady. Drone 3, critical damage. Elena gritted her teeth. "Focus on the objective. We only need one to make it." As the remaining drones closed in on the target, Scylla's voice rang out. "Now, send them through here." She pointed to a narrow passage on the holographic map, a blind spot in the alien defenses. The operators obeyed, guiding the drones through the gap. The alien ships fired relentlessly, but the drones moved with precision, dodging the attacks. Finally, one drone reached the mothership's core. "Detonation in 3, 2, 1, the operator announced. The screen lit up as the explosion rippled through the mothership. For a moment, there was silence. Then the alien fleet erupted into chaos. Smaller ships lost power, crashing to Earth like falling stars. The mothership itself shuddered and split apart, its massive hull collapsing in on itself. Cheers erupted in the control room as the humans realized what they had accomplished. Against all odds, they had struck a decisive blow against the Virkesh. Scylla watched the destruction with a mixture of relief and sadness. Her people had been defeated, but at a terrible cost. She turned to Elena, her voice soft. "It is over." Elena shook her head. "Not yet. They'll be back. But when they come, we'll be ready." For the first time, Scylla smiled. Humanity had proven its strength, not through weapons or technology, but through resilience, unity, and the courage to fight for something greater than themselves. The Virkesh had underestimated them, and now the galaxy would know the truth. Humans were far from weak. They were unstoppable. A shocking revelation. The skies above Earth were eerily quiet. The alien mothership, once an ominous symbol of power and control, was now a wreckage scattered across the atmosphere. Its smaller crafts had either been destroyed or abandoned, falling into the oceans and remote areas. For the first time in months, humanity could breathe again. But inside the military facility, the atmosphere was far from celebratory. Scylla stood in the debriefing room, her translucent skin glowing faintly under the harsh fluorescent lights. Her black eyes scanned the exhausted faces around her. The humans were victorious, but the cost was evident in their worn expressions and slumped shoulders. Yet, Scylla felt something else radiating from them, a sense of pride, of unity. They had done what her people believed was impossible. Elena Morales entered the room, carrying a tablet with fresh data. "Scylla," she said, her voice gentle but firm, "we've intercepted another transmission from the Virkesh. You need to see this." The alien girl nodded, stepping forward as Elena brought up the hologram. It displayed a scrambled message, partially decoded. The words sent a chill through the room. "The humans are not what we expected. Their resilience exceeds projections. They must not be allowed to rise further. Prepare the second wave." The room fell into a tense silence. General Thompson broke it, his voice heavy with frustration. "Second wave. We just destroyed their flagship and half their fleet. What more can they throw at us?" Scylla stepped closer to the hologram, her expression grim. "They will send everything. My people, do not lose. They will return. Stronger. President Carter's face appeared on a nearby monitor, joining the conversation remotely. How much time do we have? He asked. Zila hesitated, calculating based on what she knew of her people's fleet logistics. Weeks. Maybe. Less. They will come. To destroy. Not to study. The president's expression hardened. Then we need to prepare. Zila, do we stand a chance? She met his gaze through the screen, her voice steady despite the fear she felt. You stand because you believe. That is your strength, but you will need more than belief. The humans quickly mobilized. With Zila's help, they began reverse engineering the alien technology recovered from the wreckage. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to adapt Virakesh weaponry for human use. It was a monumental task, made even more difficult by the looming threat of the second wave. Yet the humans pushed forward, driven by the knowledge that this was a fight for their survival. Zila became a central figure in the effort. Her knowledge of the Virakesh systems was invaluable, but it was her unwavering determination that inspired those around her. Soldiers who had once doubted her now followed her instructions without hesitation. Scientists who had been skeptical of her motives now sought her guidance at every turn. One night, as the team worked late in the lab, Alina found Zila sitting alone by a window, staring at the stars. You're worried, Alina said, sitting beside her. Zila nodded. They are angry. I betrayed them. They will make me pay. Alina placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You didn't betray them, Zila. You chose what was right. That's not betrayal. It's bravery. The alien girl turned to Alina, her eyes shimmering. You are different. My people would never forgive. But humans, they forgive. They trust. Alina smiled. That's what makes us strong. As the days passed, humanity's defenses grew stronger. Using Zila's insights, they developed energy shields capable of withstanding alien attacks and advanced weaponry that could match Virakesh firepower. They also established global communication networks to ensure a unified response when the second wave arrived. But despite their progress, the humans knew they were still at a disadvantage. The Virakesh had resources in numbers far beyond anything Earth could muster. The key to victory would lie not in brute strength, but in strategy. Zila proposed a bold plan: lure the Virakesh into a trap. She explained that her people's arrogance often blinded them to unconventional tactics. They think you will fight fair, she said. You must not. The plan involved creating the illusion of vulnerability, drawing the Virakesh fleet into a concentrated area. Once there, humanity would unleash their newly developed weapons, targeting the fleet's command structure. It was risky, but it was their best shot. When the second wave arrived, it was even more terrifying than expected. Hundreds of ships descended upon Earth, their sheer size and numbers dwarfing the remnants of the first wave. The Virakesh had come to end the conflict decisively. The trap was set. Humanity's forces feigned retreat, drawing the alien fleet into the designated kill zone. As the Virakesh advanced, confident in their superiority, the humans struck. Energy weapons, EMP blasts, and orbital strikes converged on the alien ships, catching them off guard. Zila, watching from the command center, held her breath as the battle unfolded. The humans fought with everything they had, their unity and determination shining through in every maneuver. For the first time, the Virakesh found themselves on the defensive. The battle raged for hours, but in the end, humanity emerged victorious. The Virakesh fleet was shattered, their command structure destroyed. The surviving ships retreated, disappearing into the depths of space. In the aftermath, the world erupted in celebration. Humanity had faced the unthinkable and triumphed. But amidst the joy, there was a sense of somber reflection. The victory had come at a great cost, and the threat of the Virakesh still lingered. Sela stood on a hill overlooking the wreckage of an alien ship, her heart heavy. Elena joined her, her expression thoughtful. "What now?" she asked. Zilla turned to her, a faint smile on her lips. "Now, you prepare. They will come again. But you are ready." "And what about you?" Elena asked. "Will you stay?" Zela looked back at the horizon, where the first rays of dawn were breaking. "This is my home now. With humans, I found something my people could never give me: hope." As the sun rose, bathing the world in light, Sila and Elena stood together, united by the bonds of trust, sacrifice, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. The Virkesh had underestimated Earth once, but they would never do so again. Humanity had proven that its greatest weapon was not its technology, but its heart.